So Andy, what do you think about fast internet while we're in the bush in the middle of nowhere?
Sweet.
Currently, Starlink is not available in South Africa, and the ETA keeps getting pushed further and further out. So it's not a simple matter to get it going here. There are a couple of companies that will import a dish for you and set you up, but I decided to rather try and do it myself. So the reason that I want Starlink is for communication when there's no cellular network. Say we're in central Kalahari, it's nice to be able to access the internet. Another reason it is useful is for safety. So we travel in a single vehicle, usually not in a convoy. So if the vehicle breaks down, we can get stuck in the middle of nowhere. And normally we carry this little guy. It's been great. It's a Garmin InReach. Now that I've got Starlink, I don't think I'm going to need this anymore, so I can sell this to at least partially offset the cost of the dish. So I came across a thread on mybroadband.co.za entitled South Africans Want Starlink Regulations Be Damned. So you can Google that, in which one of the members there posts that he has got himself a Starlink, and he or she very kindly describe exactly how they set the whole thing up. So I set up an Aramex Global Shopper forwarding address in Australia. I first tried in Zambia, but wasn't able to order without a Zambian ID, so I gave up on that and I decided to rather order it in Australia, which actually worked out very well because at the time in Australia they had half price refurbished units. I'm not unsure of the legality of any of what I'm doing, and not only that, but it is possible that Starlink will crack down on this kind of usage, as well as on in-motion usage and moving it around as frequently as one does when one is overlanding. So, follow these instructions at your own risk. I ordered it in Australia and it got sent to the Aramex forwarding facility, and they then shipped it over to South Africa, and then it arrived today. All in all, this process took about 10 days, I think, not long. My total cost so far was 300 Australian dollars, which worked out to about 4,000 Rand for the kit, plus 3,760 Rand for shipping and import through Aramex Global Shopper. So nearly 8,000 Rand for the hardware. In order to sign up for Starlink in Australia, you have to open an account there using your forwarding address that you'll get on your Aramex Global Shopper account. It's all pretty straightforward, and as soon as the dish arrives, you can then cancel that account, and then you have to select that you wish to transfer the dish to a new owner, which is going to be you, but now you're going to be in Zambia. My original plan was to flat mount the Starlink. I was going to chop open the case, remove the pole and motors, and build a new case for it and flat mount it to the roof rack of my vehicle. This is a bit of a dodgy process. I watched a lot of YouTube videos, and you actually have to either cut through the casing or pry the front part off the casing. And then I even started 3D printing a new base for the dish. The dish was going to be glued onto this, and then we would have had a nice O-ring sitting over there, and we would have then put a piece of perspex on the back, and that was going to be the entire dish. It was going to be very thin, very neat, mounted on the top of the car. Each of these little bits that I made this out of took about 2.5 hours to 3D print, so this is a lot of 3D printing. I was also going to do a 12 volt conversion, and replace the Starlink router with a low-powered USB-C powered router. I was about to order all the bits and pieces from Amazon that I needed. It was about $250 worth of stuff, and it was the same day that my Starlink actually landed in Johannesburg when Starlink announced that they had a new Gen 3 kit. So here's the new dish. As you can see, it is flat already. The old dish looks like that, and this is the one I've purchased. I was going to chop off the actual dish part, get rid of the legs and the pole, and flat mount it. But now with this new dish, that is going to be unnecessary. Then if we look down here, the new system also comes with an external power supply, so it's going to be much easier to convert to 12 volt. The 12 volt conversion is quite important because otherwise I'd have to run the Starlink through an inverter, and that'll add to my power overheads, and it's already quite power hungry. The older one that I've got uses 50 to 75 watts, and the newer one unfortunately uses even more, uses 75 to 100 watts. So by powering it directly off 12 volts, we'll be able to reduce that power consumption quite a bit. So my plan is to buy the Gen 3 kit when it comes out, but currently it's still being tested, isn't available to purchase yet. So I'm going to mess around with this Gen 2 kit, but I'm not going to modify it in any way. I'll just use it as it is through the inverter. Then when the Gen 3 becomes available, I'll buy that and I'll sell this kit. I did spend a lot of time 3D printing bits and researching the best way to mount this thing. I even ended up putting my 3D printer in an enclosure, so because all my parts were warping, and it was a whole process, and I've wasted a colossal amount of time. So, but I've always said Elon's a bit of a dick, and now this once again proves it. Please excuse the mess, by the way. I haven't properly packed away my gear after the last trip to Chobe. So let's have a look at this thing. How do we open it? It is as I said, it is a refurbished unit, so I don't expect it to be perfect, but let's have a look. Let's just open that up. Safety first. There we go. And in the box you get this. Well, it's like a metal base. There we go. And then the Starlink itself. So my plan was to stick a screwdriver in there, pry the white bit off this grey lip, and then glue on my 3D printed rim all the way around here, and then screw a plexiglass back on there, and then mount the entire thing on Barry's roof rack. But that's not going to happen now, so I think for testing purposes what I'll probably do is just cable tie this thing to the roof rack, go drive around the mountain.
Yeah, hello.
Yo, Andy, how you doing?
Oh man, what's up, dude?
I got my Starlink.
Ah, awesome, bro. Nice one.
Awesome. You feel like coming and give me a hand giving it a test? We're going to drive up the mountain.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so the dish just slots into that base, and then there's a long wire that runs to that proprietary connector. That's the other advantage of the Gen 3, is they no longer use proprietary connectors. And then here's the router, which takes a cable from the dish and a power cable. So step number 1, replace this plug, because that looks very Australian to me. Starlink requires a reasonably unobstructed view of the sky, which is a bit difficult where I live, but unless I put it right up on top of the roof. But at least for now I just want to test it, so I've asked Andy to come give me a hand, and I'm going to mount it on top of Barry, drive up the mountain, see how it works. Okay, so I'm setting up a Starlink account in Zambia. I've entered the ID over here for my Starlink kit, so I don't have to buy a new one. And let's see, it's telling me I need to pay 0 for the hardware, 770 Zambian kwacha for the monthly subscription. Shazam! I just used my South African credit card. And it says it's been activated. Brilliant. I set it up as a standard account. I need to change it to a mobile regional account. Confirm that. Looks like it's going to work. Andy.
Sure.
Andy's here. Andy's
Fancy
here
Rob.
Andy's here to drive me up the mountain to test this baby. You ready?
Yeah, ready. Let's
Let's
go.
go. How does it feel to be behind the wheel again, Andy?
Back in Barry.
We actually, Andy and I just got back from 3 weeks, like a 4-week trip, 3 weeks solid in Chobe, which was fantastic. It was like amazing sightings, mostly lions attacking elephants, really crazy stuff. Which I'm not sure if we're even allowed to talk about since we're filming for a client, and I still have not found out whether or not I can show you guys that on YouTube. So I'm waiting to hear. Hopefully the client says, yeah, you can, put some of the footage online, in which case we'll do a whole series on that. But if not, you'll just have to imagine it. So Andy, what do you think about fast internet while we're in the bush in the middle of nowhere?
Sweet.
On this last trip in Chobe, we actually ended up not camping for 2 nights because we had to go back out of the game reserve into town, into Kasane, and book into a guest house so Andy could watch. What was that silly game you were watching?
Oh, the Rugby World Cup.
The Rugby World Cup.
Yeah.
And so we ended up racing out of the park twice so we could watch the Rugby World Cup. But if we had Starlink, we'd be able to just, stream it on a laptop in our campsite. It would have been incredible.
Awesome.
Would have been awesome. Okay, here we are at the top of the mountain. We do live in a very beautiful town, Hermanus, very near the southernmost tip of Africa. And yeah, let's give it a test.
Careful, steady.
Careful. Go carefully, boy. There we go. Off you go. Alright, so let's have a look. Base. This is solid metal. There we go. Starlink. There we go. That's the dish itself. Mine was refurbished, but it looks like it's in pretty good nick. This piece then slots in here, in one direction. Locked in place. Lovely. Oh, Charlie.
Nice timing, buddy.
Nice. Oh, there we go. Oh, we get a sticker.
A sticker?
Check it out.
Awesome.
Alright, clear view of sky. So that goes in there, waterproofed it looks like there. Then we add a power connector as well, like so. Push it in. So my inverter is under the passenger seat, but it is wired up to a little switch over here. So to turn it on, it's done on the dash like that.
Fancy.
Fancy, fancy. And then I've already downloaded the Starlink app. So let's see what happens. Has anything happened?
I don't know.
Has it done anything? It's still in the same position.
I don't know what we're looking for, Rob. What's supposed to happen?
I assume there should be a light somewhere. Connecting. Establishing connection to your Starlink network. Look. I don't know if you'll see anything there. But anyhow, it says it's connecting. Oh look, the dish has moved.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Alright, it all seems to be working beautifully. Let's run a speed test. And come have a look down here, Andy. You won't see in the sun. There we go. We're getting if you go down a bit like
There
that,
you go.
we're getting 150 megabits down, and looks like about 20 megabits up with 128 milliseconds latency. Not bad at all. And so let's have a look here. I've turned off my mobile data, pop into YouTube and go search for Moving Pictures Africa and subscribe and like all their videos. Try and play their last video.
So,
There we go.
look at those two idiots.
This is the worst YouTube channel ever. But streaming video from the sky.
From the sky.
From the sky. What next? All right, let's strap it to the roof of the car and see if that works.
Cool.
Grab that. So what I figured was we just... Yeah, those will do. No, it'll be fine. All right. So there we go. We've strapped it to the roof. What we've done is we've put the router here between the chairs. Charlie's in the back there. Andy's driving. I'm going to sit here with my phone and monitor speeds. We're going to have to go, I want to go on a dirt road, just so everything's a bit bumpy, because we don't generally work on nice, smooth tar roads. So we're going to go down this closed road over here, because it's nice and bumpy. So boot time is maybe 5 minutes. It takes a bit of time for it to stabilize. It does say here that the connection will be more stable after about 12 hours, but if you're moving, that's never going to happen. So you're always going to have a degraded connection. But in our case, we really just want WhatsApp, basically. We don't need much else. We need to get messages in and out, and occasionally look things up online. When things go wrong, we need to, how to suture a wound or something. It's the sort of thing we might need in the middle of nowhere. Okay, let's run a speed test. Here we go. It's currently getting about 110 megabit per second, 130 megabit per second down, 153 millisecond latency, and about 15 megabit per second up. We've just been sitting still. All right, Andy, drive at about normal, like my kind of game reserve speeds, 15 kilometers an hour. Here we go, driving along. All right, we've been driving a short distance. Let me do another speed test. So it's definitely slowed down as a result of our moving, but we're still getting 40 megabit per second down and 137 milliseconds latency and 20 megabit per second up. So not bad at all. I mean, you can stream a YouTube video with that. And we've turned around now, and I'm going to do one more speed test. Still getting 30, 40, 50, 60 megabit per second while in motion, not going fast, 20 kilometers an hour. Okay, let's try a bit more speed. Now it's starting to struggle. It says loading targets. Okay, I think we've lost it. So yeah, went offline. So we turned around and we went fast, it goes offline. Slow down, back online. This is brilliant. All right, let's test it on the tar road. Try goes 35 kilometers an hour. Still online. Another speed test. 50, 70, 90, 100 megabit per second, no problem. So at some point it's got to cut out. So it does seem to work. Most of the time in motion. 40 kilometers an hour, still online, running a speed test, going around a bend, 100 megabits per second, goes even better now, 140, 150 megabits per second, 110 milliseconds latency, 17 megabit per second download at 40 kilometers an hour. Sweet. So yeah, so in motion it obviously goes in and out. It might actually work better in motion with a flat dish that's pointing straight up, because you know, with this dish, it could be pointing in one direction, and then you could spin and now face it the other side of the sky. Whereas with a flat dish, you know, if it's locked onto a satellite directly above, no matter which way you turn the vehicle, it'll still be able to, you know, communicate with that satellite. So it might work even better. I don't think I'm going to bungee tie my brand new Starlink to the roof of the car and drive around the game reserve, because we do at times need to go very fast on bumpy roads and it could damage it. So I probably won't do this in practice until the new flat mount dish comes out. Once that dish comes out, I'll buy that, stick it on the roof, mount it properly, and we'll be able to drive, you know, on highway speeds. I'm not sure if it will work at highway speeds, but it will be interesting to see if it does. We're gonna take this thing down, and yeah, maybe I'll make a video out of this. Say bye. Bye bye. Charlie, say goodbye to the nice internet people. I can sort of strap this down. The distance between these things is a bit problematic. Yeah, I should have maybe thought of this before I left home.